That junk fees are disproportionately targeted at and paid by minority consumers. To give one example, according to a survey from Bankrate, Hispanic checking account holders pay an average of more than triple that of white account holders. Mr. Suedo, can you talk about the particular vulnerability of minority consumers to junk fees?
Yeah, so on first point is low-income people and working-class people across the board pay more in overdraft fees and credit card late fees. Latinos and Black consumers pay even higher rates of overdraft fees and junk fees. We just did a survey where we found that 40% of all Latinos had paid a junk fee. This is much higher than other groups. 25% of Latinos had paid a credit card late fee, which is also much higher than other groups. So it's widespread. It's disproportionately affecting people who don't have a lot of income.
Yeah. And then one of the other elements of it is I'm concerned that disparities are even larger for the 26 million Americans who have limited English proficiency. These consumers are disproportionately targeted by scams. They often face difficulty accessing consumer protection resources and education materials. What can we do to promote price transparency and reduce the disproportionate fees paid by minority and LEP consumers?
There's a number of different things. Number one is, for LEP consumers in particular, we need to make sure that our marketing and the materials that we offer consumers are transparent, are accurate, and are in Spanish and other languages spoken in the U.S. as well. We found in the auto lending space that there's been a lot of issues with auto lenders promoting a product in Spanish at a certain price, and then when the consumer comes in to get that loan, it turns out the price was different. The interest rate was higher, there were other fees associated. The FTC has done a lot of work trying to address that issue. So that's one. The second part is on a broader scale, obviously these rules we think will help. That's why we support them. In the market, we can also promote things like bank-on accounts. We can also promote things like affordable small dollar loans that have low interest rates, credit cards lots of credit card products that are out there that are really solid, have low interest rates, have no or low late fees. We need to be promoting those products as well.
Thank you. Mr. Russ, in May of 22, the CFA and several other consumer groups sent a letter to the CFPB on junk fees in financial services. In that letter, you stated, and I quote, "Junk fees contribute to high rates of unbanked or underbanked households of color," close quote. Can you and Mr. Suedo elaborate on how junk fees drive low-income families away from the traditional financing system and how this negatively impacts their financial well-being?
So thank you for that question. The FDIC does research every 2 years on the unbanked and the underbanked, and they ask, why don't you have a bank account? And the first reason is, I'm afraid of having a bank account because of surprise fees. And the third reason specifically calls out overdraft fees. So these set of fees are explicitly creating financial exclusion.
I would add, we see similar findings with credit cards. There's surveys out there asking consumers, why don't you have a credit card if you don't have a credit card? They cite costs, interest rates, and late fees specifically as one of the reasons why they don't get those. I would add, people that do have these high-cost products are often more likely to, for credit cards being delinquent, for overdraft fees to lose their products, get overburdened in debt in both situations, and can get pushed out of the financial system if they're not able to pay those fees.
According to a 2019 FDIC survey, 16% of unbanked households cited distrust of banks as the main reason for not having an account. It's something we have to try to modify because we need people to enter a portal of financial institutions so that this way they're not going to the check cashing place and the payday lender and the pawnbroker. One final question. One area where renters are feeling acutely the pain of junk fees is the search for housing in New Jersey, where housing is acute. It can be difficult, particularly for low-income families, and it seems that many landlords are taking advantage of that fact by charging exorbitant applications fees, as high as $350 in some instances, according to the National Consumer Law Center. Mr. Russ, are these application fees truly reflective of actual costs incurred by the landlord in processing applications?
So no, they're not. Thank you for that question. TransUnion, for example, has a service that they market to landlords where the cost is between $25 and $42 based on what basket of services the landlord wants. And then, yes, turn that around and charge $100 per person, even more. That's what's happening, and that makes it very difficult to comparison shop because just the search costs are so high. It makes people say, I have to apply for this first one and just take it because I can't afford another $300 application fee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.